In a landmark decision that captured national and international attention, the United States Supreme Court delivered a unanimous 9-0 ruling, decisively shutting down Mexico's high-profile lawsuit against several major American gun manufacturers, a case that had been closely watched by legal experts and governments worldwide. The October 2025 verdict reinforced long-standing federal protections that shield gun makers from liability when their products are used in crimes, regardless of the scale or international impact. This outcome was a major blow to gun control advocates, who had hoped to use the courts to hold the firearms industry accountable for the violence linked to their products, especially across borders. The justices made it clear, under current U.S. law, gun manufacturers cannot be sued for damages caused by the criminal misuse of their legally sold products, even when those products are trafficked or used on a massive scale, both domestically and internationally. For gun owners and Second Amendment supporters, the ruling was a huge relief, seen as a strong defense of both the firearms industry and their constitutional rights. Many celebrated the decision as a reaffirmation of legal protections they believe are essential. The decision sends a strong message. The legal shield for gun makers is robust and won't be easily dismantled by lawsuits, no matter how significant the claims or the parties involved. The immediate effect is clear. Mexico's attempt to seek billions in damages from companies like Smith & Wesson and Glock is now officially over, closing the door on this particular legal strategy. Looking ahead, this ruling makes it extremely difficult for anyone, whether foreign governments, U.S. cities, or private individuals, to bring similar lawsuits against gun manufacturers. The precedent set by the Supreme Court will likely shape legal battles and policy debates for years to come, reinforcing the unique legal protections enjoyed by the American firearms industry. Why did Mexico sue? The country has been devastated by cartel violence, much of it fueled by American-made firearms. Mexico argued that U.S. gun manufacturers knowingly designed and marketed weapons in ways that made illegal trafficking easy. The lawsuit claimed these companies' business practices, like selling large volumes of assault-style weapons to border state dealers, actively facilitated the illegal gun trade. Mexico sought not just financial compensation, but also changes in how these companies do business. At its core, the case was about holding the gun industry responsible for fueling a public crisis. By suing the manufacturers directly, Mexico hoped to cut off the flow of weapons to cartels at the source. One of the most significant legal hurdles Mexico faced in its lawsuit was the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, commonly known as the PLCAA. This U.S. federal law has played a pivotal role in shaping the legal landscape for gun manufacturers and sellers. Enacted in 2005, the PLCAA was designed to shield gun makers and dealers from being held liable in civil court when their firearms are later used in criminal acts. Unless a company has broken a specific law or engaged in gross negligence, they are generally protected from lawsuits. The core principle behind the law is straightforward. Responsibility for a crime lies with the individual who commits it, not with the manufacturer of a product that was legally sold. There are a few narrow exceptions to this rule, such as knowingly violating gun sale regulations or cases of negligent entrustment. But these are rare and notoriously difficult to prove in court. In its lawsuit, Mexico argued that its case fell within these exceptions, claiming that certain gun makers knowingly facilitated illegal trafficking of firearms into Mexico, fueling violence and crime. This legal battle marked the first time the Supreme Court directly examined the true strength and reach of the PLCAA, drawing national and international attention. Ultimately, the justices' decision reaffirmed that the PLCAA's protections are extremely broad, and that its exceptions remain very limited and difficult to invoke. The verdict has effectively cemented the PLCAA as a nearly impenetrable legal shield for the American gun industry, making future lawsuits against gun makers even more challenging. The legal fight boiled down to two starkly different arguments. Mexico claimed gun makers designed and marketed firearms to appeal to cartels and knowingly supplied huge quantities to border dealers, ignoring the obvious risk of trafficking. They argued this amounted to aiding and abetting criminal activity, which should void PLCAA immunity. The gun industry countered that they sell legal products to licensed dealers and can't control what happens after a lawful sale. They insisted responsibility for illegal trafficking lies with law enforcement, not manufacturers. The companies argued Mexico's claims were broad generalizations, not specific evidence of illegal acts. Their defense, PLCAA, was designed to block exactly these kinds of lawsuits. The Supreme Court agreed, finding no direct evidence that gun makers knowingly broke the law. The Supreme Court's unanimous opinion sided with the gun manufacturers. The justices ruled that Mexico's claims weren't specific enough to fit PLCAA's narrow exceptions. To proceed, Mexico needed to show gunmakers knowingly violated a specific law and directly caused the harm. The court found Mexico's case relied on broad accusations, not concrete proof of illegal acts. The opinion emphasized that international gun trafficking is an issue for Congress and the executive branch, not the courts. The ruling overturns a lower court's decision and makes clear PLCAA's legal shield is nearly absolute. The verdict sets a powerful precedent, closing the door on similar lawsuits for now. For gun rights supporters, this is a massive win. The ruling affirms that a legal industry can't be punished for the crimes of others. Gun rights groups say lawsuits like Mexico's are attempts to bankrupt the industry and undermine the Second Amendment. The Supreme Court's decision protects gun makers from a wave of liability lawsuits, ensuring continued access to firearms for law-abiding Americans. The unanimous verdict strengthens the political position of gun rights advocates, making it harder to challenge PLCAA in Congress. Supporters see the ruling as a firewall against lawfare, using courts to achieve political goals. For millions of gun owners, the message is clear. Their rights and the industry that supports them are secure. The bottom line is this: the recent Supreme Court decision brings a new level of stability and legal certainty for both gun owners and manufacturers across the country. After years of legal battles and uncertainty, this ruling marks a significant turning point in the ongoing debate over gun rights and industry responsibility. The unanimous 9-0 ruling by the justices solidifies the protections that have shielded the firearms industry for nearly 2 decades, reaffirming the legal framework that has been in place since the early 2000s. Gun makers can now continue their operations without the looming threat of being held liable for crimes committed with their products by third parties, allowing them to focus on innovation, safety, and responsible manufacturing. For gun owners, this means the industry remains robust, and the wide variety of firearms available on the market is safe from potentially crippling lawsuits that could have limited access or driven up costs. However, the fight over gun industry liability is far from over. The focus now shifts from the courts to Congress, where gun control advocates are expected to push even harder to change the law and seek new regulations. While the Supreme Court's decision clarifies the current legal landscape, it also intensifies the ongoing political battle over gun legislation, sparking renewed debate and activism on both sides. For now, the Supreme Court has spoken clearly. Legal responsibility for gun violence does not extend to manufacturers, at least under existing law. The industry's foundation remains rock solid, and the rights of American gun owners continue to be protected, ensuring that the debate over firearms in America will remain a central issue for years to come.